Most actors spend most of their time not acting. Most actors spend the majority of their time, or should be spending the majority of their non-acting time, doing proactive things to benefit their career.
Work breeds work. Yeah, absolutely, you need to work where you can, get a reel, and more importantly, get experience. Because a lot of people have fantasies of being an actor, and that's what it is, it's a fantasy. You can't just live in fantasy land, you've got to be proactive about this. And get out there and try it.
The more films you make, the more you work, the more you just love the process, and it comes out of you, and you learn from the people you're working with.
My whole career has been looking for the weakness in the wall that stands between you and the rest of your career.
Why do you think it's so important for you to get an agent first? Actors think there's two things that they need to do first: get an agent, get in the union. The two things that couldn't be furthest from the first thing that they do. They become so preoccupied with getting an agent, getting a manager, getting into the union, that they're doing it all wrong. Sure, you go work extra work, get your vouchers, join SAG, and then be unable to work in other projects which are non-union, which will help you build your resume and be able to later go after the stuff that's union that you wouldn't otherwise be able to go after.
These people who it seems like they made it overnight. Yeah, they didn't. They made that overnight happened after maybe, whoever knows, but 5, 10 years of trying to get their foot in the door.
Proactive is another word right under tenacity. Proactive, because you're the one who's going to get you the work. In my mind, I take my pick and my shovel to work every day, and I mine the system.
You really have to be your own agent, manager, press person. You have to wear all the hats.
You start honing your craft, you start learning what it's about, you start learning what acting's about. You try to get around other actors, you try to get around people that are doing something that you like. Get next to them, write them a letter. Hey, I'd like to study, watch you or observe you. I observed Schlesinger the whole time I was there working. I observed Redford the whole time I was there working.
I don't think you realize the endurance needed until you get in it and have got your nose to the grindstone. There's two things you need, basically, other than talent, and that's perseverance and some kind of an income while you're persevering.
Start to be a student of the business. Start to understand it. Accept that you're talented. Know that you're talented. But realize that if you expect that an agent is going to work for you 100% of the time when they're only getting 10% of your wage, then you're really naive. You have to work the other 90% of the time.
New people think, when I get an agent, I just sit back and wait for the phone to ring and my career will take off. But now your work has really begun. That's when you have to start submitting yourself for these student films, grad films, AFI type films, network with other actors, get your picture in front of these casting directors any way you can.
The actor's got to do his own administrative work. The man who teaches me and whose school I belong to, Milton Katselas, talks about administration that an actor has to do. Talks about, getting out there, finding things out. When I came up, you didn't do a lot of that stuff. Yet the ones that really scored did.
Most actors are not willing to work that hard. They want to show up and do the performance stuff, but most of them don't have a clue about the other real work that has to be done. So either they don't have a clue and they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, or they have an idea what they're supposed to be doing and they're just sort of lazy about it. And that's very dangerous. There's a ton of angry actors out there. Angry because they're not having the kind of careers that they feel that they're entitled to have. And they're angry really because they haven't put the effort behind the real work to have the career that they want.
Your job as an actor is not acting. Your job as an actor is to get a job. You have to approach that as a business. You have to work at that 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day to get a job.
It's just getting out there and knocking on those doors and forming a network, and getting people to recommend you and stuff like that. It's tough. I mean, you learn your craft in one sense, but this other, the business sense, is an entirely different deal, and one has to be aggressive about that.
You'll learn more doing just like college. The classroom was fine, but the productions is where you learn. Same thing with this. You learn through there's never such thing as a wasted audition. So what, I didn't get the call back or the job, I got C.
It's a long-term job. It's a job where it involves you have to go on auditions, and hopefully you'll get one role out of 100.
That's what Ron Howard says. 90% of it is getting the job. The other 10% is the reward for doing a good job at auditioning.
It's not only getting your foot in the door, which is so important. What are you going to do to make me remember you? In this business, there are so many people who want that same job, that to settle for something less than the best is unnecessary.
It's like success in any other career, any other industry. You know, you can't just say, I'm going to be a doctor and start practicing medicine next week. You know, there's one thing to learn how to take the pulse, but there's a lot more to it. And it can be that intricate.
You're perpetually marketing yourself. You never sit back and just say, okay, my career is in drive, and I'm just gonna, you know, take the steering wheel and keep it steady.
I like to say, if I'm to be, it's up to me. You can't depend on other people to validate your life. You can't depend on other people to make things happen for you. You and your attitude is what's going to make things happen for you.
In order to live in this business, you've got to live by your wits. I never expected anyone ever to help me.
The only way you're gonna get anyone to know you is to you know, send your headshot to all the casting offices. Look through Backstage West and you know, other publications and you know, see where you can get involved in a play.
You have to be tenacious, you have to be bold, you have to be innovative, and you have to be creative, and you have to be relentless. Just relentless.
Bob Fosse, who was a great friend of mine, we had a wonderful time working together on Cabaret. He said to me when he was doing Star 80, it was Mariel Hemingway and who played the lead. And he said it wasn't, in fact, his initial choice, but she was so insistent. He'd find her on his doorstep or whatever. That she sort of infiltrated her way into his consciousness until he could see the role in the play by no other person.
Every time I heard of somebody I knew, I wrote them a letter. Somebody I knew from New York, casting person, a director, producer.
The majority of people, it takes years of hard work. It takes years of dedication. It takes years of rejection.
But it takes a lot of patience and a lot of belief in yourself, and you go through tremendous self-doubt.
You always have certain things that you try to accomplish in a day. You either have to make necessary phone calls, or if you had the feeling, and it's a gut feeling, you would try to meet that person.
You need a structure. You need to impose a structure on yourself. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be, I work from 9 to 5. You know, but you need to know that every day, this is my goal, this is what I'm going to get done.
I make a laundry list. I still to this day make a laundry list of things I need to do. And it ain't brain surgery, but when I start doing what's on the list, I start crossing it off the list, and then eventually in a couple of week period, you know, the list will be clean.
I'd never sat back and waited for the phone to ring. I never sat back and wait for my agent to call me.
They're casting 150 roles this week. There might be 5 that will be signified as specifically ethnic roles. Well, I'll definitely go up for them. I have no problem with that. But if I see something in that 150 that I think I can do, then I'm going to be leaning on somebody, calling somebody to find out about how I can get in to show them what I can do on that. because it's essential that you be proactive.
I would follow up on everything. I would find out about a script that I felt was right for me, and there was no downside as far as I was concerned. My agent got a little pissed at me sometimes, but I said, that's all right. You know, I said, this is what you're supposed to do.
There are ways to get access to the information about what projects are out there. I think they can self-submit, and I'm different than a lot of people. I think this industry accepts complete aggression as long as you do it politely. And if I were being an actor and I were doing it full time, I'd work at it 10 hours a day.
When you go on an interview, to know who you met, who the casting director is on this project, who the director is, who the producer is, learn all you can, all the names you can, and
keep a book.
And don't forget them. Keep those people in mind.
It's important to always keep networking, keep the contacts alive.
Proactive. You know, putting yourself in a way that things can happen. Following up leads.
Which brings me to another point that we always preach too, is that always have your headshots with you. You never know when you're gonna be on the elevator and bump into Spielberg and he just likes the way you look.
I think that there are certain aspects of this industry that are impossible to teach, that have to be learned by doing.
If you really love what you're doing and what you're about to do or what you think you're about to do, you, I think, are willing to do whatever it takes to get there.
Love the process. Love it to death. Love the auditions. Love the classes. Love the callbacks. Love the process of getting where you want to go.
Your day-to-day kind of mundane job of trying to keep your profile out there to casting people is, for me, like I say, I'll talk to some other actors maybe that I know are working actors. I send out cards. If I've been lucky enough to have a job recently, I'll certainly make a point of getting postcards and sending those out to all the casting people. It's keeping your face and your profile in front of those people so that they when they're casting the next job, that they'll think of you. And get a stamp if you lucky enough to get a job. You know, you want to maybe stamp your photos, just booked.
The one thing I think you have to kind of tell yourself every day is that they need me. Because they do. We eat up talent left and right.
If you want to act, do it. Find a small theater company. Audition for them.
Be proactive in your own career, because there's a lot of independent pictures that are just phenomenal, that are great, and people have made tremendous careers doing those. Johnny Depp, for instance, does all those like little quirky pictures.
Get into an acting class. Investigate amateur theater, little theater in your vicinity. Get Dramalog, get the papers that publish open readings. Go to them, read, find a partner, prepare scenes.
I do whatever it takes. If it's a phone call, if it's a fax, if it's an email, if it's a meeting, if it's a documentary film, I'm here.
It's not a question of wanting to be an actor, it's of having to be. Because it's just that demanding. You've got to go and be proactive about it.
And you need a mentor. Whether it's a good teacher, you need someone to help guide you so that you don't waste time. Teachers, of course, that's their function, is to do that.
This town is full of wannabes and full of people who aren't motivated, who just say, well, I've got a pretty face, so I want to act. But they're not willing to do what it takes to get seen and be seen.
You need to develop that talent, and really you need to fertilize, you know, and develop the skills and the talent that you have. A lot of it starts out being natural, but then you've got to, it's a craft, and you got to work it out.
Life is too short not to do what you want to do, as far as following your dreams.
The journey, the goal. Oftentimes, the goal is in the journey.
Perseverance is very important. It is. I know so many people who just don't have the, listen, acting and writing too, it's a tough business. You get a lot of rejection, and it's not fair. It's not a fair business. But if you can accept that, and the people who are the most successful are the ones who can roll with the punches, who can adapt. If you are absolutely stickler to I have to be successful within 3 months, and if I'm not, I'm going to give it up. Well, then most likely you're not going to be successful. But if you say I'm in this for the long run, and I'll be a little successful, then a lot, and then maybe none, and then back again, I think you'll survive a long time. But that perseverance and a belief in yourself, I think, helps a lot. There are a lot of strong, confident people out there. Now, secretly, they may go home and go, I don't know, I'll never work again. But you get past that when the sun comes up and you do it again. And if you keep doing it, and you're somewhat lucky and hopefully talented, you will get your success.
You've got to put it out there. Maybe it's a sort of mental telepathy.
No matter your age, no matter what you've done last, no matter how old you become, the very best thing that ever possibly could have happened to you could still happen tomorrow. And that's true in the business of acting, more so than in any other business.
If an actor wants it and wills it and puts it out there every day, everywhere they go, I'm an actor, I'm trying out for this. I'm an actor, I'm looking for an agent. If everybody around you and everybody in the world knows that this is what you want to do, this is who you want to be, and you're damn good at it and you're going to make it happen, you can make it happen.